Welcome back. Before I continue in English, I would like to properly greet my Khmer audience. ជាដំបូងខ្ញុំព្រះករុណាសូមក្រាបថ្វាយបង្គំព្រះអង្គព្រះសង្ឃទាំងអស់ជាទីគោរពនាងខ្ញុំឈ្មោះ Linda U សូមគោរពជំរាបសួរបងប្អូនជនរួមជាតិជាទីគោរពនិងជាទីរាប់អាននាងខ្ញុំសូមស្វាគមន៍និងសូមអរគុណចំពោះការតាមដានទស្សនាកម្មវិធីថ្ងៃនេះសម្លេងយុវជនខ្មែរដើម្បីយុត្តិធម៌ជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសជាកម្មវិធីរបស់ cnrp America នាងខ្ញុំចង់បញ្ជាក់ថាកម្មវិធីថ្ងៃនេះនឹងជារៀងរាល់ថ្ងៃអង្គារគឺជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសយើងសូមអភ័យទោសដែលមិនបាននិយាយជាភាសាខ្មែរថ្ងៃនេះយើងនិយាយជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសពីព្រោះយើងចង់ឲ្យយុវជនជំនាន់ក្រោយនិងជនបរទេសបានយល់ពីបញ្ហានិងស្ថានភាពនៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាក៏ប៉ុន្តែសូមរងចាំតាមដានកម្មវិធីរបស់ cnrp America ជាភាសាខ្មែររាល់ថ្ងៃពុធដល់ថ្ងៃច័ន្ទនៅម៉ោងដដែលចា6ថ្ងៃជាភាសាខ្មែរហើយក្នុងមួយថ្ងៃជាថ្ងៃអង្គារជាភាសាអង់គ្លេសដូច្នេះហើយសូមតាមដានកម្មវិធីដែលជាខ្មែរ6ថ្ងៃចាសូមអរគុណ Thank you and welcome back. Let me introduce my guest. My first guest, she does not need any introductions. She is pretty well known. Let me bring her in.
Hello.
Hello,
ជំរាបសួរក្មួយជំរាបសួរបងប្អូនក្មួយមីងពូលោកយាយលោកតាទាំងអស់គ្នាយើងនិយាយខ្មែរឬអង់គ្លេសខ្ញុំសុំទោសហើយមិញខ្ញុំ
We speak English today.
All right. Hello, everyone. Greetings from my home in Kien Swai. All the young people, nieces and nephews. I guess it's a literal translation, but I guess that works too. I'm happy to join you. Thank you so much, Linda and Samadi, for the invitation to be on your show.
Thank you. For people that doesn't know, Ms. Terry Singh, she is the founding president of Center for Cambodian Citizen Education, and she is a prominent Cambodian American human rights lawyer. She is currently living in Cambodia. We will discuss further on the current situation with her and the Hun Sen regime. Let me bring our second guest. His name is Samadi. ជំរាបសួរបងជំរាបសួរបងជំរាបសួរអ្នកមីងខ្ញុំ Terry.
Hello Samadi. ជំរាបសួរ
ជំរាបសួរបាទ Samadi he is the youth president of CNRPA in Los Angeles, California. Welcome, Natming Terry, and welcome Samadi today.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before I start, there's a current event right now where CNRP leadership will not be, today is the 5th already, will not be arriving in Cambodia, and there is a press statement that coming out. Let me want to put it up on the screen and read. So this is a press release. Let me see. So basically, I cannot read that. Let me see.
Tiny, huh?
Yeah, it's very tiny. Let me try to open a folder. Let me see. Okay, so the Cambodian National Rescue Party, CNRP, is pleased to inform the general public that EVA Airways announced on 30th of December 2020 that the suspension of all transit transfer flight through Taiwan starting January 1st, 2021. For this reason, CNRP Vice President Her Excellency Musa Kur and other members of the delegations have postponed their planned return on January 4th, 2021 on EVA Airlines to February 15, 2021 by taking a flight with Singapore Airlines. The arrival of CNRP Vice President Her Excellency Musa Kur and CNRP delegations in Phnom Penh International Airport is estimated to be at 5:35 p.m. on January 17, 2021. If there is no change made by the Singapore Airlines to their flight from the United States on January 15, 2021 on flight number SQ5008, We hope that our supporters will understand the reason for this unexpected change. So, and this is, I actually went to the EVA airline, and this is what their website put. This is on December 30th, 2020. They are basically their website, they are suspending all transit service into Taiwan. For people that do not know, we cannot take a direct flight from America to Cambodia. The airline, if you take Thai Airway, we probably stop in Thai and then take another plane and then go to Cambodia. There's also China Airline, where they stop in Taipei, which is Taiwan, and also there's Singapore, there's Eva Airlines. So there are many different flights that basically we cannot take direct flight. Sometimes we stop many stop in order to go to Cambodia. So the new court date will be on the 17th. Let me ask you, that means
the 17th. What is the 17th?
Oh, gonna be land on the 17th, and then they're gonna be quarantined for 2 weeks. So the court date is expected to be on the 29th of January. Yes. So since you are scheduled to have the same court date as Her Excellency Mua Sukhur, which was scheduled to be on the 14th, does your schedule change, or do you still stick on the 14th?
My court appearance is still scheduled for January 14, which is the original date where they had clumped everyone, including the leadership of CNRP, with individuals like myself who are regular supporters of the political party, who are really outside the party but are very active political public supporter. So my court appearance is still January 14, and the leadership of CNRP, their court appearance have been moved to January 29, which is a strategy, and it has to do with the division, or trying to create division in terms of dividing media attention between my group, the January 14 group, and the leadership. In terms of the quarantine, if they chose January 29, the government, or this regime, we don't call it the government, this regime chose, well, it's not a legitimate government. This regime chose January 29, thinking that the leadership would need 2 weeks to quarantine because of COVID, and then the next day appear in court. Thus, that would put them leaving or departing January 14. But the leadership is smart in not creating division among their supporters, including like myself, by now departing on the 15th and arriving on the 17th of January. But anyway, so the date is not accidental. It was strategic on the part of the regime to try to create division, or the appearance of division, and to blunt media attention from my court appearance and their return home. Not surprising, because this regime is full of tricks and schemes, constantly working rather to develop the country in a positive way, rather to create social disorder and chaos among the people who are lovers democracy. I think it's very, very wise and appropriate and practical, and also for the leadership to move the date of January 4 in terms of arrival. One, because they have no choice. As you mentioned, EVA has a policy, and also the number of flights coming through Cambodia are very, very limited, and the times are limited because of COVID. And as you said, Cambodia is not a direct destination. We have to go through many transits to get to Cambodia, either Bangkok or Singapore or somewhere else. There's no direct flight, as you had mentioned already. So it's very reasonable. There will always be critics out there, unreasonable ones, but that's the nature of political life, and that's the nature of life in Cambodia. So I look forward to welcoming them. I will be at the airport to welcome Madame Musakua when she arrives, and the leadership arrive on the 17th of January. After my court appearance on January 14, assuming I am not detained and thrown into prison, of course. Contingent on that very tiny fact.
So instead of clumped together, now we get two media's attention. So I'm not sure that they thought through this or not. But now it's going to be on the 14th, going to be your trial, which is going to be all over the world, and also Her Excellency Musakua on the 29th is going to be another another publicity, and also that's what we want. We want the publicity. We want the world to know that this is such a I guess hocus pocus in America. That's why I call it so uncalled for.
It's very arbitrary. And the other media point of media focus now, rather than to January 14 and the 29th, the 17th will also draw media attention. And so the more scrutiny that we have from the international community on Cambodia, the better, because we want to cast light on the darkness. Perpetrators perpetrate in darkness. They think they can get away, and they have been getting away. But if the more light we shine on this very dark situation in Cambodia that have been going on for years now, under the reign, under the dictatorial command of Mr. Hun Sen, the better. Because, and not only for Cambodians, we need to remember that the world community, the international community in Europe, in America, in Australia, in the region, need to pay attention to Cambodia, not only for the sake of Cambodia alone, not only for humanitarian grounds, because there are a lot of humanitarian concerns, but also for personal interests, for state interests of the United States, of France, of Germany, of Australia. They should be paying very, very close attention. Singapore and Thailand should be paying close attention to Cambodia, because Cambodia poses a very high security risk to the region and to the international community because of the presence of China using Cambodia as a launching pad to dominate the world. The world needs to pay attention to Cambodia because it impacts on their national interests. So Cambodia is not only a Cambodia issue, it's an international issue of international concern because it poses regional insecurity, it poses international instability because of the very, very powerful presence of China using Cambodia and using Hun Sen and the monarchy as their pawns to launch, or one of the many launching pads toward world domination, as we are seeing right now in the world. So we should be very concerned about Cambodia because of China. We, the world community, not only Cambodians.
Are you still prepared to go to jail?
I am. I have to cut my hair again. I look like Peter Pan now.
It's beautiful.
I'm getting a little bit used to it. No, I like long hair. I'm
long hair,
Southeast Asian. You know, we Southeast Asian, Thailand, Indonesian, Cambodians, Laotian, Vietnamese, we like our long hair. Unlike our East Asian, the Koreans, the Taiwanese, they like shorter hair, more crop, but we like our long hair. I like long hair. I'm okay with this, but I have to have it trimmed shorter before my court appearance because it's getting long. I will be prepared physically in terms of more trim of my hair, and I'm preparing myself spiritually and mentally. So I'm not surprised should there be a prison sentence and I be detained immediately. So I'm prepared.
Okay, the world is watching, so that all eyes going to be on you on the 14th and on the cnrp leadership. Yeah.
And on the other Cambodians. So I hope that when you say that all eyes, and I think this is also what you mean, that all eyes are on me, I welcome that, in understanding that the others also will be drawn into this attention, because it's not just a personal case of for me. I would like to think that my U.S. passport, my U.S. nationality, in addition to a Cambodian nationality, will cast light and help to cast light on the others as well, because they also need to be remembered. I'm one of the fewer. Well, I'm the lucky one in the group in terms of having a very top-notch international defense lawyer based in Washington, D.C., in Jared Genzer and his team at Perseus, and I have many influential friends who are coming to my assistance. But these individuals, they're very, very principled, and they're these friends of mine. Of course, they're coming to my personal defense, but they love the larger issue of justice, and injustice just doesn't sit well with them. So they're coming to my assistance because of the larger issues as well, because they are advocates of democracy, they are advocates of justice, and when they see such blatant injustice and impunity, their morality, their humanity don't allow them to sit still. So I'm very, very grateful for them, and I'm glad that my case will help to cast light on the others, because I think they need the attention as well.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yes. So like I said, all eyes are going to be on you and going to be on others. So we would call, togetherness, and on the 14, and also but all eyes going to be on Her Excellency Mosakur, which is another group, and it's going to be another group of people on the 29th. So that's going to be what we're going to be pay attention to for the next couple of weeks. Let me bring somebody back in. Hi, somebody, you've been quiet.
Yeah, it's really interesting listen to Natminya Thierry explaining about her case. Yeah.
You have anything to add?
Yeah, I think this is a really great opportunity, because under Hun Sen regime, he's always arrested people that does not fight back. But in Miss Terry case, she's very influential. She is public figures. I have seen her fight for justice like ever since 2000, like a long time ago. I think I seen a video of you standing up against the policeman, like on the street. You call him coward.
That when they assaulted
Yeah.
me on the riverfronts.
Yeah. I saw they push you and shove you, and you just walk up to them and said coward, like in front of their face. Not a lot of people have the courage to do that 20 something years ago. So you, a woman, alone, standing up to Hun Sen regime, like ever since you go to Cambodia and start teaching Cambodian justice. Yeah.
Let me ask you, Terry, when someone said, why do you care so much about Cambodia? You live in America, you have every single thing. Like people always ask me, ask somebody, ask everybody, why are we still talking about Cambodia? Why should the youth in America or in a different country care about Cambodia?
For me, it's my physical home, and it's my spiritual home, and it's my mental home. I'm impressed with both of you, that you are a lot more active and a lot more knowledgeable than I was at your age. And for the others, for you, I believe that it's your home in a different way. Physically, your home is in the United States, where you have family and you have friends. But it's home in terms of a connection, and it's familiarity. It's a culture that is that have formed you. You have parents and grandparents and relatives I'm so impressed with them that have groomed you to understand your heritage, which is very important, that we be rooted, that we be connected to our past and to our heritage, because then it gives us a firmer foundation. So for me, it's my physical home, Cambodia. Um, I've returned and lived here since 1995, going back for school to finish law school. But during the summer months, when my classmates were in law firms as summer associates, I would be coming back to Cambodia volunteering. So since 95, I've been here continuously every year. And then I moved here permanently in January 2004. And speaking about impunity, the video that Wong Musakur narrated. You know, when I returned in January 2004, it was an American law firm who brought me back. They had sent a car with a driver to pick me up at the airport. And I was so excited. You know, I'm moving with my things. It's a permanent move. And the driver had my name card and picked me up. And then as we were leaving Bojintong Airport at the gate, I remember this very, very clearly. I was so excited. I turned to him, so what's going on in Cambodia? And then quietly turned to me, not knowing that I knew Chivichia. He said, Chivichia died. A labor union leader was murdered. My heart did sink because I have known Chivichia since 1995. And I was very involved with the labor movement then as well because I had a lot of free time. We didn't have cafes then. We didn't have, and there was a self-imposed curfew at around 5 o'clock because electricity was very, very sketchy and there were no roads. So we couldn't really travel much. And I was in Phnom Penh, so I spent a lot of time volunteering, you know, just to make use of my time from out of pure boredom. Plus, I had English skills, and English was very, very limited then. So I volunteered. 95, there was no labor union yet, but 96, 97, but I've known Chivichia since 95 because of his also work with Samransi. So that was how I returned home in January 2004. So yeah, impunity. I went on such a circuitous way. I forgot what your question was, or whether
talking about why because people always ask us, and I'm sure you probably been asked so many times, you know, the life is so much easier here. Why do we go back? Why do we care? I always tell people, even though I'm here, injustice over there, I can see it, and that's not fair. And for someone to have the culture, to have family, to have blood from there, to close my eyes and walk away, that's just so unfair. So to me, it's like that's not right. That's, as my personally, I just feel like everybody deserve a fair chance, and not, you know, from freedom of expression, from singing, and get arrested, throw in jail for that, and that's not fair.
Yeah, it speaks to your values. It speaks to, you know, we have 24 hours per day, and we can spend it idling away, or we can spend it towards something that's meaningful. And life has to be meaningful. You know, we don't think of life in terms of, or most we shouldn't. Well, practically we should, of course, and think of we should choose places that allow us to work toward comfort. But, you know, choosing comfort is not always necessarily the best decision or the wisest decision. So for me, as I said, when people ask me, it still surprises me, and I understand where they're coming from, and from a very good place, out of curiosity. It surprises me because I've been here since 95, and that's 25 years, you know, and I'm 50, so I'm turning 50 now, so it could be my birthday today. I don't know exactly my birthday, but you know, my adult life have been lived here, and plus my childhood was here, so I spent more time here in Cambodia than I have in the States. But I love the States, And as you said, and as they recognize, of course, it in comparison to Cambodia, it's heaven. The opportunities, the freedom, despite the problems. Of course, everywhere there's problem, but it is still the superpower. It is still the land of freedom and land of opportunities where status is not an obstacle. If you work hard, if you study, if you, of course, I mean, it's not all based on you, it's also based on external circumstances, but it's a place that allows you to move, it allows for social mobility, it allows for our potential to really expand and rise. So that's why the people ask, because, so I understand that. But I need to remind everyone as well that we live life for meaning, and meaning is not always where it is comfortable. Meaning is to sometimes require sacrifice. You know, I think of my grandmother. My goodness, she, this is my mom's mom, my maternal grandmother. She was born in the poorest of the poor, among the poorest of the poor, but she died peacefully in the United States, having raised us not only as her grandchildren, but as her children, because she basically also adopted us after my parents were killed during the Khmer Rouge. So she gave her children education. I don't know how she saved penny by penny by penny from her husband, who was really wasting her hard work as well. And from this remote town in Swairing, which is one of the poorest provinces in Cambodia. To this day, Swairing is very, very poor. And she was born in early 1900s. And to be able to send them to school in the United States and France, both girls and boys, both daughters and sons, to give them an education, very, very forward and looking. And then to also give her children, her grandchildren, whom she adopted as her children informally, effectively, give us our education. This is a woman to her dying day, you know, when she signed government checks to receive assistance, it's with an X because she doesn't even know one alphabet letter. But the wisdom there and the sacrifice, you know, if we're only choosing life based on comfort, I would not be here because my grandmother would have wasted her life other ways. But her life is a saint, it's full of meaning. Look at Mother Teresa.
Yes.
So the question I understand, because we think first and foremost in terms of comfort, but if we take a little bit more time to think, as you know, it's more than comfort. It's meaning that we want as well. And meaning doesn't mean that we go where it is always comfortable. Oftentimes it means that we go hand in hand with the vulnerable, with the poor, with those who need our help to whatever degree. And we don't have to do it on a large scale. You start in your neighborhood, you know, and so, and then if once we learn those lessons at the tiny step, incrementally, maybe we'll be given larger platform. So that's how life goes. But you know, I'm impressed in one way, but I'm not impressed of your value system, because your parents and your relatives have enshrined, have embedded these values for you to think outside of yourself, outside of your own personal comfort zone, to spend a lot of time. I'm certain to put something like this together. You have other life as well, I know. Life is busy, even during COVID. But yeah, because you do it because it gives meaning, and it takes a lot of time, and time is also a sacrifice. You know, time is valuable. You have other options to do other things, but to you, this is meaningful. So I salute both of you.
Thank you. I totally agree. I totally agree. Talking about about educations, let talk about our topic. Our topic is strategy to promote Cambodia youth as agent of change. Some people might not know what agents of change is. An agent of change is someone who see and acknowledge that there is problem in their community. So basically, small scale acknowledge that there's something's wrong. So what's going on? And does something or take actions for substantial change. And in order, from my personal experience, in order for someone to know that something's wrong with the system, something's wrong with the community, they have to understand a little bit why it's wrong. And that come hand in hand with education. So so I went on Wikipedia regarding the youth in Cambodia. So this is what it said: youth in Cambodia under the age of 30 make up 65.3% of Cambodia populations. The youth in Cambodia is actually the greatest asset in transforming Cambodia society. However, the youth in Cambodia are facing challenge, and one of them is education, and the other one is job. I'm not sure we able to talk about both of them, but since you are, Terry, you are a educator. I don't know where your title's at on my paper. So can you help us to understand the educations in Cambodia?
It would be my pleasure too. And it's a topic that is very close to my heart. I'm not a teacher in terms of a trained teacher, the way that we think of a teacher, but I'm a trainer. I've always been a trainer of political party agents as a consultant with IRI, with Ron Abney in Ron Abney time. I'm not sure if you know this name. And I've been a trainer for through the Speak Truth to Power program, which when we partnered up with the Robert F. Kennedy Center for Human Rights in Washington, D.C., they have this curriculum called Speak Truth to Power. We translated into Cambodia as Courage Without Borders, because it's too punchy, and we thought, oh, we need to get sort of government at that time involvement. So Speak Truth to Power, and during that time we worked with teachers. We worked with CITA, the Cambodian Independent Teachers Association, Luk Rong Chun, and his teachers, and we work with monks. So I was training them on this curriculum, Courage Without Border, or Speak Truth to Power, which we had translated and then trained on them. So I'm not a teacher in the way that we think of a teacher being in a classroom, but I'm a trainer, and education. Whenever I think of education, it brings tears to my eyes. You know, I live in Kien Swai. It's still a traditional village. It's a very beautiful place because it's on a peninsula, but the Chinese have big plans for this already. They want to take over this very, very nice real estate. It's a poor community. I live in a Khmer house. Of course, my Khmer house has high technology with the security camera and solar floodlights and so on, which thank to my relatives who came to my aid. But you know, they're garment workers, they're farmers. I'll give you a sense. When they do my nails, there's one shop and there's one home down the street, and she opens a little bit of salon. She spends about 90 minutes, an hour and a half, very meticulously cutting my nails, my toenails, my fingernails, pedicure and manicure. Afterward, I said, how much? 6,000 reals, $1.50 for 90 minutes of very meticulous labor, including the paint on the nail, which is expensive. You know, the labor is her, and no expense to her in terms of shelling out money, but she has to buy the nail polish and all of that. So it gives, just to give you a sense of what my neighborhood is like. Very few cars, and people use the motorbike. But anyway, the children here, they should be in school. And there are many children here who are around 7, 8, 9 years old. Prior to the court case, I was teaching them English a week, 1 day a week, and also giving them milk and chocolate milk because they need calories, and it's a luxury in this neighborhood. But anyway, the children here, prior to COVID, they were attending school, but sporadically. The parents, of course, they are very busy, so they leave the children, if they're fortunate enough to have grandparents, as caretakers, which is great because of that extended familiarity and security. But they're not attending school on a regular basis. This is pre-COVID. And now with COVID, they have zero computer or technology that they can access. And even without, there was a time where they could return to school about maybe 3 days a week. And school is only for half a day. So just the logistical problems, the logistical obstacles to attending school in Cambodia. We're not talking about quality of education yet. We're just talking about the practical obstacles. One, there's no busing system, so they have to find their own way. And if you live, this is not far from Phnom Penh. It will soon be a part of Phnom Penh. It takes me about 30 minutes to ride in a pass app or a rickshaw, a motorized rickshaw, tuk-tuk, about 40 minutes to get to the Independence Monument, medium traffic. So I'm only about 30 kilometers away from the heart of Phnom Penh. So I'm not far, but it sounds and it feels rural. And so even if and for the villages more far flung out, like in Swairiang, education is almost non-existent unless the parents are very, very focused on that topic, which many times they're not because they themselves are not fully educated and they're busy and they're stressed, the stress of life draw their attention elsewhere. Back to my village with the children here. So when they were attending school, normally without COVID, school is only for half a day. So the practical obstacles, they have to find their way there. So they ride their bike for about 4 or 5 miles. Fine during the dry season, but the monsoon season, which is half the year, what happens? With the mud, with the rain, without raincoats, it's an effort just physically to get to school. And once they get to school, they're not sure if the teachers will show up. And if the teachers show up, they're not sure if the teacher will teach them. And of course, will demand money every day, even though education is free. And we're talking about children in first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. Even though education is free, every day, every child has to bring at least 500 reals, which is a lot for someone without an income and in a poor community like this. 1,000 real is 25 cents, but on average, it's 1,000 real, 25 cents. They have to pay every single day. So one child per week is already what? $2.50 for one child just to go to school, to bring to school to the teachers. We're not talking about the quality of education. I'm just talking about the obstacles of physically getting to school and the impediments that are the economic impediments to a free education. So one child, $2.50. But many parents have three children. That's $7.50. And if their salary per month is only $200, you can do the math. It's nonsensical. So this is a regime that creates a debt system because of its mismanagement, because of its incompetence, and because of its corruption and its lack of creativity. And now we have the external forces of the big brothers, Vietnam and China. We have this society where education is just heartbreaking, especially for someone like you, for someone like me who love to read, who love to learn. So now COVID is even more impossible for children to learn. It's heartbreaking. It brings tears to my eyes whenever I think of education, because it's only a small window of opportunity. These children do not stay children. They will become illiterate adults, uneducated adults, with their potential and their possibilities and their opportunities more and more and more and more and more limited. So this is a very fundamental, very big problem in society. It's a foundational problem. And this regime is doing nothing really effectively to help and to address, because it requires infrastructure at the very top level. It requires basically leadership change, regime change. And this is why so many Cambodians are desiring the CNRP, because they see that Sam Rainsy and the CNRP leadership will be a completely different set of leaders who are capable and can overnight transform Cambodia's society. Everything is based on leadership. Not everything is an exaggeration, but you know what I mean. It's leadership is core to the problem. And we have now the biggest obstacle is leadership at the very top.
Yes, and in order for someone to know the system is wrong, the youth need to be able to read, need to be able to understand instead of just listen and follow. And I think that's what the regime want. The regime want kids grow up without learning. Yeah, so
it's easier to pull and to lead individuals who are so vulnerable and who are limited in the ability to choose or to think creatively of options. You know, when we think of learning, it's unfortunate that the Khmer word is rian sod, to memorize. Learning is a lot more than that, as you know. Learning is the love and seeing and incorporating and being able to discriminate ideas, not discriminate people. You know, when we hear the word discriminate, we shun away. But learning is learning how to discriminate and to parse out ideas. And now those set of skills are not being taught here. And of course, we need first the foundational skills of basic learning, basic facts. But as we move on, critical thinking is very important. And as you said, I mean, this regime wants to numb us, just to deaden, to make our mind dead and numb. And when that happens, it's really hard to learn. So the children, I mean, I don't blame them because their thinking, their psychological thinking is very, very practical when they don't go to school, because internally they're not vocalizing this, but internally I can see it racing through their mind. Why should I go to school when I'm not really learning? When it takes so much energy and effort, when it's so costly financially, when I can have more fun playing with my friends, flying kites. It's a very, very practical way of thinking, and it's a reasonable way of thinking in their limited set of options. So as leaders, we need to enlarge those set of options so that their thinking changes. But as you know, and so to be agent of change, agent means agency. Agency is to act, not to be acted upon, but to proactively take charge. That requires information, being knowledge. You know, you don't want to blindly rush into a situation, but as you said, you need to be knowledgeable and understand the problem. So the first step is being knowledgeable and understanding the problem, and as an agent to actively, proactively address those issues rather than waiting to be acted on. To be acted on is to be a victim. To be an agent is to act, to have agency. So it's a very, very powerful topic today. And thank you again for inviting me, because I feel passionately about this. Change requires internal, the internal flame to spread out, given to change the circumstances around us. And it's just really unfortunate that the circumstances around us here in Cambodia are so dire and so many. We're not talking about one major problem. We're talking about a sea of problems. Yes. Of human rights violations, of land rights, from at every level. And this again, why Cambodians want new leadership, wants Mr. Hun Sen to go, because he needs to go if we are to flourish, if we are to have genuine peace with justice, if we are to be able to start firming up our stand and not have feeble feet to actively engage living in the 21st century. With Mr. Hun Sen, it's almost impossible. It is impossible for many. For us who have options, we continue to fight to enlarge that space. So that's how I see my role. It's my home, and I want my home to flourish the way that I've seen my friends flourish, the way that I know of the American community, my other home, and flourishing. So I, it's reasonable that I should like to everyone in my neighborhood to flourish, because when they flourish, it also benefits me. You know, it makes for calm living, it makes for peaceful living, it makes for harmony. When I live well and they are living in want, well, it also creates insecurity for me. I don't live safely because I'm very, very fortunate to have really good neighbors. I have to say, it's such a blessing. I love my neighbors and I love the kids around me. They form a part of my security because they're so vigilant, and they know about the situation, my situation. So I'm very fortunate. But generally speaking, when everyone is well off, it creates for a more harmonious society, less violence in terms of petty theft to plunder. So not only should we be concerned, again, I mean, at every level, there's always the personal interest, but then there are also the larger interests at issue.
Thank you. That means Terry, let me bring somebody so he can have some
Samani, you have to jump in, because I like to speak, especially on the topic of education. So if you don't chime in, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. That mean is I'm very fortunate to be able to have to hear what you have to say. You enlighten me with your wisdom. Yeah, so I can learn from my elders to improve myself in the futures. Thank you. Don't worry about it.
let answer the question. Somebody, what's your take on Cambodia public education? You went to school there for a couple years, so give me your take. Your 4 hours a day in school.
So what I see is two different things. Well, in the U.S., you learn through hands-on experience. They don't just teach you from the book. The teachers and the professors teach you from how to learn it from hands-on experience, like physically. So, for example, if I want to major in politics, in university, my school can contact someone, like, for example, in my district, Pomona, to learn and understand how the political system work and volunteer there. So it showed me how the system work and teach me how to love the country. But in Cambodia is different thing. They only teach you the basic, but without teaching the concept. So most student at school in Cambodia, the reason they go to school is to get benefit from it, is to what you call it, like you go to school in order to get paid basically after you finish college. So you know that the government is corrupted, but after you got your degree, you cannot compete with the student who have connections at the workplace. You need to pay money to get into the workplace. So at the same time, this kind of promote corruptions in Cambodia from top to bottom, in educational systems, in political system. So basically from top to bottom, that's why you see corruptions everywhere. And I joined the Cal Youth like a couple months ago. We able to have a round table talk with youth leader from Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, from around the world, very diverse. And one question that he asked me is, how do we liberal expose an imposter, dictatorships in the country? One thing come to mind is I think of That mean Teddy saying, She's an American citizen. She has a master's degree in law, but why does she go back to Cambodia, to her home country, throw away all that futures in the United States and go back to the country? That is because she want to expose an imposter in our country, which is Hun Sen in this case and his regime. So I really appreciate what you're standing up against. You basically standing up against the whole system of corruptions. The you standing up against the regime. So yes, that's why I think you are the beacon of hope and the agent of change in this case. If we speaking here, that's what I believe.
Well, so are all of you. You know, we are agents where we are. And our sphere of influence starts needs to start somewhere. We can expand them as we become more active, given our resources and our time commitment and all of that. But I see you as agents of change. I mean, you are reaching the youth, and for an oldie like me, you know, it's
Exactly.
it's more difficult to speak with the youth because you have their culture. So wherever we are, if we are mentally focused on thinking outside of ourselves to the larger society that we found ourselves in. And for you, your society is more than the United States. Your society is also the Cambodian society because you have embraced it either because of it's your heritage or for friends of mine, for example, they have embraced it because they have a friend who's Cambodian American like myself. You know, they're Americans, but some of them are also because they have a background or their relatives or their heritage is Jewish, and because of the Holocaust, because of genocide, they have also embraced that, and they see commonality. Because ultimately, what we're talking about are universal values. You know, I mean, I saw this one engraving on a bench in Hawaii many years ago when I was there on a seminar, and I was on a bench, and I should have taken a photo, but I remember it said, "Above nations, humanity." Thus, we have international humanitarian law. Universal jurisdiction is based on that concept. Above the borders of nations, of course, we should be proud to be Cambodian, proud to be American, proud to be French, and we need to protect those identity because it makes us unique, and we shouldn't of course erase them. But above nations, humanity, what ties us all together ultimately is we are a human family. You know, first I'm in the same family, and then I'm in the human rights family. You're in the CNRP family. I'm also in the CNRP family. I'm in the Cambodian community family. I'm in the American family. But ultimately, above nations, humanity.
Thank
So
you.
somebody, yeah, I look to you, I look to Linda as agents of change, powerful agents of change, because of your ability to reach the youth in a way that I cannot reach them, because it's your culture. And as you said, I think Linda, as you raised this, I can't speak English, statistics, 65% are under 30. So it's a very young population. There's a youth bulge. Have you heard that phrase? The
No.
bulge, you know, when
Oh,
a lot of young people. So the top, very not so many, and then shoo, all
yeah.
young people. The youth bulge. Um, in developing countries, it tends to be the situation where there's just a lot of young people, and these. So the concern is that young people don't stay young; they become adults, and if they don't have opportunities, they don't have jobs. It, their options, they can transform to not healthy individuals, let me say, for themselves or for the neighbors or for the security of the neighborhood, because people have to survive and have to live. I mean, if they can't, if they don't have food and they're hungry, of course they're going to steal. I
Yeah.
mean, when we were living, your parents, I'm certain, and my relatives, when we were living in under the Khmer Rouge, when we were hungry and there was food around, of course we would take them, even if it doesn't belong to us, because you have to feed your stomach. So the options are different when we're in need and when we're not in need. Basic needs now I'm talking about. Of course, you know, people can say, oh, I need a Lamborghini. Well, that's not really a basic need, is it? It's a little bit different to needing a bowl of rice with fish. That's a real concern. Having a Chanel handbag is not a basic need.
You know what surprised me is that I saw rich people in Cambodia, Oknya, what do you call them? They be driving Lamborghini truck to the countryside while I see the bike next to it. I be like, oh my God, it's like huge different world like between those people. Like here you just see like driving on the street, it's just regular car, but in Cambodia it's like the rich keep getting richer and the poor getting poorer. Like at school, I feel like they teach in Cambodia, teach you how to be a fixed mindset. Like you can't think above the ceiling. You have to follow rules and regulations. While in the United States, professors and teachers teach students how to have a growth mindset. Like as long as you can fulfill your dream, the sky is the limit. Anything is possible. You can become a governor, a politician, um, powerful position in the government in the United States if you feeling like you want to achieve that. But in Cambodia, it's not possible. Everything is through corruptions, through lineage. And I heard Mr. Hun Sen want to give his power to his son after he retired. So yeah, it's just two different worlds.
You've hit the target there, and Linda, you also mentioned this, which is a major problem. That, you know, I always appreciate. I'm a student. You know, living and life is a journey of learning, and when we are learners, we're students. I always appreciate when I meet individuals who don't tell me the right answer, but they help me to and point me to the right answer. So what I hear in your comment, Samadi, is that, you know, handing an answer is not really helpful. Teaching them how to arrive at that answer is more helpful. So it's critical thinking, and thinking in a way to help to think generally, you know, rather than be told. Learning should be helping the child, be they the neighbor's child or your own child, to think through a problem rather than just to give them the answer to the problem. Because it's, you know, it's the analogy of teaching to fish and not give a fish.
Thank you, Naming, and thank you, Samadi. We almost at the end. Let me, since we're talking about solutions, what from the bottom of your heart, in order to solve this education issue, what strategy do you see as the main strategy to solve this education, the lack of education, basically not lack of education, the government lack of concern and care about their citizen to even provide proper education?
To address the problem, which is massive, requires multifaceted levels of thinking, of approach. In Cambodia, because the problems associated with education are so many and so serious, that ultimately the answer is a change of regime, new leadership at the national level, who will create, establish, enable the environment for learning. So the external environment is very, very important and it's necessary. But that doesn't mean that the individual doesn't have a choice and doesn't have a role in the education process. So because regime change and changing politics and policies take a lot of effort and years, as you know, as we all know, we're in this process now in terms of fighting for a new regime so that it will create an enabling environment for education. But during that time doesn't mean that the children should sit still and do nothing. They should also be picking up books to read. Reading is fundamental in the development of an individual, not in the sense of getting a degree, which is important, but if it's superficial and it doesn't have substance and content, then that degree is meaningless. As we know in the society, I mean, everyone has like a zillion degrees and certificates and all these acronyms after their name, doctor this, PhD that, but who cares when there's no substance inside? You know, I'm still Kanya. Many people still call me Miss. I keep thinking, you know, it's a little bit embarrassing when they hear Kanya, Saint Thierry on RFA, VOA, and then they see, oh, she's not Kanya. She looks like she's really old.
No, you are not old at all.
Well, 50, I mean, I'm fine with where I am in life in terms of age. But my point is when we hear the word Kanya, we're thinking about, oh, you know, 18, 19, and then there's this 50-year-old woman. But my point is that we need to the individuals have a choice in their day-to-day, you know, with the limited resources. I give the example of my grandmother. With her extremely limited resources, she created generations of educated family members of her in her family, me included. So with 500 real, you know, and also, you know, education means that also people need to eat healthily. Now I see children with 1,000 real buying chips. I'm thinking they need protein. Go and buy 2 eggs and boil them so you have enough protein to build you up. Because you can't learn if your minds, and especially when their minds and their brains and their biology, their systems are growing, but if they're not fed proteins, vitamins, they're not going to have the internal organs to receive. And we tend to forget this. We tend to forget about psychology and child psychology. So this is my appeal, my request to the parents. Learn about child psychology. There is a reason why children under the age of 18 or 21 are put legally in a protected class, because it means that physically they're still evolving. And we know when you are from the 9 months in the belly to birth, to toddlerhood, to being 7, 8 years old, every day, every week, every month, they need specific things for their bodies to grow. And the mind is an organ that needs nutrients. The mom, the dad needs to know this, so that instead of giving children and allowing them just to buy chips as a meal, they need to prepare with their limited funds, boil 6 eggs before they go to work, leave them for the children to eat, because eggs are full of protein. And every day you need protein, because those are building blocks. These sounds like simple things that are not related to education, but they're the core of education, because they provide the building blocks for the brains to absorb information. And you know, and we know this, but this is basic information and knowledge that is lacking here. So this is my request to the parents. Think about what you are feeding your children, because your children need specific things. They're growing, they're in a protected class, and every month, every year, they need different things. But every day they need protein, because that's a building block. And also know this, the psychology. They need downtime. They have downtime. They have uptime. They need to be fed. And reading is a habit that needs to be learned. It doesn't come naturally. We have so many obstacles. We don't have enough lighting. We have noise. And when you don't have that habit, I'm talking about from personal experience, when we are traumatized, we are so wrecked up here that we don't have the energy, and that learning to read is painful. It gave me migraines growing up. I know this. to be the case because I experienced it. So this is why I feel passionately about reading and instilling that habit. And it's a big obstacle because to have the habit is a major challenge. Of course, once you have the habit, now I read as pleasure.
Yes.
People are always thinking, wow, you're 50, you don't have children, you don't have a family. Aren't you bored? I'm never bored when I have books around me because life is full of learning. But that needs to be instilled. I was not always like this. So I see myself in the children in my neighborhood because at one time I also was in that place, but I was fortunate to have many opportunities to have the infrastructure of the United States, to have my grandmother who was very, very forward looking. Anyway, I can go on and ramble, but I know that we're probably out of time. And again, I'm taking Samadhi from his wisdom. You, for a young person, you have a lot of wisdom, both of
It's
you.
okay. I enjoyed having you as our guest. Please come again. Miss,
Okay,
Well, invite me and I will come again.
thank you. Really appreciate
we'll put you on our schedule.
that.
Somebody, the table is your. What is the strategy to help with the educations? Terry talking about talking about food and education. For some reason light pop up in my head, and it's like, well, that's what Americans do. They said, how can you concentrate in school with an empty stomach? That's why school provided breakfast, and and that's something that I forgot the thought. Like I forgot about that until Terry said it. It was like, wow, that's true, because the kid in America, children go to school, have breakfast, and then go to their class, which is it's not something that available in Cambodia.
My opinion on that is to, like you said, there's 65% of youth in Cambodia from 20 to 30 years old. What I want to see is hopefully our youth in Cambodia can bring change to the country like youth in Thailand. Have you seen like how when they disagree with the government, they form as a group of youth to stand up against the government, to make real change? So I believe our country made up of 65% of youth. That's what they should be start thinking instead of um, things that doesn't benefit to your country, because this country is your futures. I believe they should see like all human being as equal. Put yourself in other shoes. For example, you are very fortunate to born into a family who can provide you food, give you money to go to school, provide you educations. But what happened if you are born in a rural area like Terry Sang said, you doesn't even have money to give your children to go to school. And when you go to school, you have to pay for the teachers, like that kind of stuff. So every human being should be born equal. It doesn't matter your race, your ethnicity, and where you are from, because everyone deserves basic rights, human rights. Everyone deserves an educations. Everyone deserves food, like you said, protein. Everyone deserves to have a roof over their head. So I believe to bring change, we need to see it at a bigger picture. What can we benefit to our country instead of thinking, I want to have the newest iPhone. Where should we eat when I hang out with my friend? I want the latest clothes and so on. So they should, youth in Cambodia should start thinking about the future of their own country in order to bring change.
Thank you, Samadi.
Thank you.
Do you have anything to add? Terry, anything at all?
That was perfect. That was perfect.
Well, thank you, Terry, and thank you, Samadi, for being here today. I appreciate our conversation. And Terry, I know I'm going to be watching you on the 14th. The world is going to be watching you on the 14th, not just you, everybody that involved in the trial. So we're not just watching you, we're also paying more attention to the Hun Sen regime as well. The 14th is next week. So we know you, there's luck with you. and I know you will fight, and I know so the international community is with you, and also international community have eye on Hun Sen. So we'll watch that closely on the 14th.
Thank you. It's our struggle, and thank you for coming together and solidifying and doing this. Thank you very much.
We hope to have you again soon in the future in our show.
Please invite, and I will come. I love this conversation. I mean, it's nice. It was a very, very enjoyable conversation. The hours, the time went by quickly.
Yeah.
Again, somebody, you need to chime in. I'm taking all your space.
No, as a younger generation, I need to learn from you. Your wisdom is really important for me to develop.
Well, I'm learning as well, as you know.
Yeah.
Next time when you
Life
hear,
is a journey of learning.
Next time you hear, I will bring the Cerritos Outer Square song, so that way you will remember.
All right. Well,
Okay.
so hope to see you again via this conversation, this format, or someplace else. Thank you, Khmer Khmer. Thank you, everyone, for listening and for the invitation. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Good night, everyone. Bye. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. This is the end of our show, and thank you, Namin, Terry, and thank you, Samadi, for being here today. We will see you again next Tuesday. This email is not email. This is actually a show, sign petitions in Cambodia. I know there's a lot of question about how to create email to sign the petition ending impunity for justice in Cambodia. So this short clip will explain how to create email and actually go, and after you sign the email, create the email account, you'll be able to sign the petition. Thank you.